Elon tries to stop the Onion from getting the Infowars account. I don't know. This is an interesting situation.
This is such an interesting situation. I think it should be.
I guess realistically speaking, Elon does have the right to just. He can't. I think he can just suspend the account if he wants to. I think that's within reason. Be like, hey, the original owner doesn't have it anymore. It's against our terms of service to sell or transfer an account, and that's what's happened here. And we're shutting down the account. 100% think they can do that. I think he has complete right to do it also. But I also think that the Onion can go and create their own new account if they want to, called, the Onions or whatever, and go and do it.
I don't know, actually. That's a really tough one.
Well, yeah. I think he can. I don't think you have any ownership over it is the problem.
So here's the question. So here's the weird conflict, guys. So to catch you up, okay. Mm-hmm. Alex Jones, is kind of filing for bankruptcy because he's getting absolutely slaughtered with defamation lawsuits, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, huge judgments for the families. And basically there was a deal that was reached for the families or for the Onion to basically buy. Do you know the Onion?
It's like that parody.
Yeah, it's a parody satire thing. Left-leaning parody satire thing.
Do we know how much they paid, by the way?
Wasn't it like 10 million?
They had that much money? That's kind of crazy.
10 million? No, I don't think that's not much for what we're talking, for these IPs, for the Infowars intellectual property. It might have even been less. But so anyway, so the Onion was buying, the Onion bought the Infowars account. And part of buying an intellectual property from somebody is like transference of that intellectual property into the new owners of the intellectual property. Mm-hmm. But there's an interesting question about ownership of or operation of a social media account. So most websites will have a terms of service that will say something like, so I have my Destiny YouTube account, right? I don't believe as part of the terms of service, I can't sell you that YouTube account because it's not mine to sell. And if websites catch you doing this, usually they'll just suspend you. But let's say that I run a business called Pepsi, and let's say there's a Pepsi YouTube account. Well, obviously, the owners of the Pepsi business can change, like there could be a new CEO, there could be a new board of directors, and that business can still own that account. But what if there was like a new CEO that came in that bought part of that business, and part of what they wanted to buy was like the access to like the YouTube, like all the brand accounts. But let's say that all those social media people were like, oh, I don't like those new owners, I'm going to ban you. So now you can't actually buy access to those accounts. It's a very weird. So like right now, Elon Musk, okay, who's like a champion, Alex Jones, far-right, fashy dick suck, okay, right now, Elon is obsessed with trying to help all these guys. Elon is super gaped and ass-pained that the Onion was able to buy all of the Infowars stuff. So Elon, at first, I think he just took the Infowars account, actually. I think Elon just took it.
Really?
Like, I think if you go to the Infowars account right now, it's just retweeting Alex Jones. I think he actually just took it. The Fed Reserve, NWO... Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's not the one, yeah. Yeah, I think it's just retweeting Alex Jones.
Oh.
So now it's interesting because there's such a huge conflict of interest because one of the people that were almost like a party or like an external interested group in the auctions kind of for Alex Jones's stuff happens to own the website that controls the accounts of part of the Infowars intellectual property. So it's, yeah.
I think, you know what? I've rethought the position.
Oh, I just did too because of one guy in chat.
No, I think you're probably more correct than I thought initially. So I know, I feel like the owner of a website can do whatever the fuck they want, basically, at the end of the day.
Well, close, right?
Well, yeah, they can't illegally discriminate or things along those lines.
Well, I'll qualify based on what this is, but keep going, yeah.
But I think that if you brought this to a judge, you would say, listen, I went to a bankruptcy auction. You want bankruptcy auctions to have merit and legitimacy, and you want people to bid the highest dollar so that people that are harmed can get some of their money back. And if we allow things like this to happen, where a company is acquired and social media handles are terminated as a result of that, that will make it so that the people who are harmed get less money, and that's bad, and we don't want that. So we should not allow this to happen under those circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, yeah.
That's my thinking. That's
part of it. Another guy just brought this up. I didn't even think about this from like a Section 230 angle, but the guy says, if a website can't be held liable for user-generated content, how could they possibly own any of it? That's kind of true too. Like, if Elon Musk were to have like just shut the account down or something, then maybe sure. But like him transferring ownership is like clearly showing favor to who operates this particular account, external any type of business transaction, which is a very weird way for a website owner to intervene.
The thing is that's unique to websites that doesn't apply to newspapers is that they have 230. So 230 doesn't apply to newspapers. So newspapers, they have editorial control to a certain extent. And websites have Section 230. And basically 230 is two things. It's the, there's a few more things, but the main things they're talking about are two rules. The right to moderate and the right to not moderate however you want and not be held liable for either one. So either you can go through and you can moderate however the fuck you want. Meaning you just want all Republicans off the site, you can fucking do it. You can't do illegal shit. Like you can't be like, no blacks allowed, right? You can't do that. You can't say no Jews allowed. But you can moderate however you want. Or you can not moderate it, right? You can just let it be a fucking hellscape. Those are the two things. It gets dangerous, though, when you start becoming the publisher of that stuff. Because then it's not moderating or unmoderating. Then it's you personally owning and doing that. And then you, as a company, can't claim 230 because it's not...
Basically, in order for any website that has user-generated content, you don't want to ever hold that website liable for anything if they're cooperating with like takedown requests, because then nobody could ever host anything, right? Because let's say I really hate, let's say you host like Jade's cat forum, and then I go onto your website and I'm gonna like, I hate Jade, and then I post a bunch of videos of like dogs executing children, and then I report your website immediately to the FBI. The FBI is gonna say, okay, well hold on, was there a takedown request? Like, we're not gonna hold you liable for hosting the content because it's user-generated.
Yeah.
But if you start intervening a ton in the type of content posted there, they're going to say, so Dan brought up like newspapers, for instance. Newspapers don't just have user-generated content. There are articles that the newspaper is paying for, and then they have editorial boards that look at it. So when something is published by the New York Times, they have liability for what they're publishing. They also make money off it too. But for Twitter, like Twitter doesn't have liability for...
They might have liability for this now if they've taken
Well, but that's
ownership.
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a very interesting when they personally intervene. The real issue here, though, that I'm seeing now, because I'm trying to think, what if you bought rights to a business and the biggest thing that business had was like access to like some warehouse or whatever?
Well,
and then
if
the owners of the
you
warehouse
bought Linus
were like,
Tech
oh,
Tips,
we're not going to do this
well,
anymore.
hold on. Imagine if you bought Linus Tech Tips and then YouTube's like, oh yeah, we're shutting down. That would be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That would be because like that's like 95% of the value of that business is Linus Tech Tips video like YouTube channels.
Yeah, but then so the only question is like, if I buy... So because fuck, my mind's going so many places. It's so impossible to set this out. If I buy Linus Tech Tips, I'm not actually buying the YouTube channel. I'm just buying their business and their intellectual property, which includes access to that YouTube channel,
which is rented.
Yeah, but then let's say I were to say, oh, hey, do you want to buy the email, the omniliberalwarrior at gmail.com? And you're like, oh, sure, I'll pay you $20,000 for that because that's the email that I use for access to my social media. Yeah. Well, now I've kind of like sold you the social media, but not really. I just sold you the email that I used to reset the password for it. Could they moderate that?
Here's the problem. It all comes down to one thing. So Section 230, it's like, I forget, it's like 20 words or so. It's, oh God, there's a book.
You're talking about the safe harbor provisions.
Words that created...
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, it doesn't have to be like specifically like Section 230.
26 words.
Like, okay. It's just the idea that like,
no,
how much control if you own a platform and there's somebody like you're trying to bid on a thing that uses your platform and then you don't win the bid. Can you just like exit from your platform? You're like, fuck you.
The problem with all internet law right now, for the most part, is that it's all protected by this one fucking law that is insanely short. And it was made like 1,000 years ago.
Sure, but it's not. The issue isn't even really like stuff related to the DMCA. I think that the issue has to do with the fact that there is a lot of value in money.
You don't own domains either.
What?
You don't own domains either.
Probably not. You probably rent it or lease it, right?
Yeah. Same thing.
But the issue is there's a lot of value in like social media accounts, which are technically. It's kind of like Steam tomorrow could just like shut down and you would lose every single game you own. Like theoretically, YouTube tomorrow could just shut down and you're like, oh, well, fuck me. That's my entire livelihood. It's just gone, I guess, because YouTube doesn't owe you.
I don't know how the court would handle this.
I have no idea. It would be totally... Well, in this particular case...
is acting in bad faith.
Yeah, it'd be like torturous interference maybe, but only because like Elon was literally personally...
Are you interested in this conversation?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm like coming in and out of consciousness.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
No. It's okay. Like you guys, this is your domain.